Sports Talk on a Wednesday. I know we said we were going to talk a little Tiger hoops, but we'll push that back a little bit because the developments on the front, uh, literally on the defensive front for Clemson, seem to be pointing in the direction of former Clemson Tiger Nick Eason. Eason, a native of Lyons, Georgia, played his football there at Clemson when I was up there in Tiger Town, knew him. And, of course, Nick went on to play in the NFL, returned, and ended up doing some coaching in the NFL, and then ultimately, most recently, becoming the defensive line coach there at Auburn. Now, the good news, I think, from the standpoint of bringing in Nick Eason, and again, if you read our premium article on the topic, Eason's name was one of the two that I really highlighted that I thought made a lot of sense. The other being former Clemson Tiger Brenson Buckner, who worked obviously with the Arizona Cardinals at the time that Wes Goodwin was out there. And yeah, it's a different game coming to the collegiate level, recruiting and all of that. But, you know, I think that there are a lot of people out there, and I've said it, I think the title of defensive coordinator, co-defensive coordinator, not being put on Todd Bates is probably the reason that Todd Bates left Clemson. And the thing that Nick Eason brings you, maybe more than Todd Bates, is the fact that there is a connection already in place. And yes, he's new to this game, but I think that Eason's probably got a more personable experience. Eason's got more experience at the professional level playing, and certainly will have a chance, I think, because he's a Georgia native, of getting himself right back in the mix there, and the ties to Alabama, that state where he's now at Auburn, help because that's kind of what you lost when you get rid of or have a guy like Todd Bates leave your program. So everything trending towards Nick Eason becoming the guy at Clemson on the defensive front. And I don't think there's any question. You look at Eason when you come down to the model that Clemson has put together when it comes down to graduating players. I mean, Nick Eason, I believe, was the first scholarship player at Clemson to graduate in 2 years. I think that's right. And so, you know, from the logistics of a guy who's got his master's degree, a guy who's focused on education, a guy who was an all-ACC performer, and ultimately made his way to the NFL and had a nice little career in the NFL, now coming, quote-unquote, home to Clemson, is probably going to really help balance out some of the loss. And listen, the criticisms of Coach Bates have been immense on social media. People firing laser beams in his time leaving. Matter of fact, I'll read a couple here. Dari chimes in and says, Swanny, he wanted the job that went to Wes Goodwin, or he knew immediately that he wanted to work for Brent, but stayed at Clemson through the bowl season. We'll probably never know. It's okay. Teams frequently lose assistants. Bent Zero chiming into the program says, Swanny, it was weird that he stuck around and didn't do any recruiting. Didn't thank the Clemson family or the fans that helped secure his job. He basically just thanked Dabo for introducing him to his bromance. It's a strange way to bounce out. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Also, if I may, one final thing. Clemson recruiting news. Let's see. At CU Cruton hit us up and said, can't even say anything more than one sentence to Dabo or Clemson. Seriously? You were a Jacksonville State University minnow before he gave you that opportunity. Thanks for mailing in the last 2 years on the recruiting trail. Can't say I'm devastated by your departure. Peace. So it's funny because this loss, maybe more than any, is the first move that has soured for a lot of people the relationship, not necessarily between Brent Venables and the fan base, but anyone that's left Clemson staff. Like when Ted Roof leaves, People didn't get all up and bothered, or Miguel Chavis, people didn't get all up and bothered. But when Todd Bates said he was exiting stage left after the bowl game, the shocking way that came to fruition, I think was surprising for a lot of people. And we played the audio from Todd Bates during the National Signing Day event the other day. CU stockholder says Swanny, he's trying a bigger wave. He's going to find out real quick how hard it is to win. Maybe he'll appreciate what Dabo Swinney built and sustained. So there you go. A couple of takes when it comes down to Todd Bates. And again, the expectation that Nick Eason will be Clemson's next guy, will be the next guy, is no surprise to me. Again, he was not only the first name that I mentioned, but he was he was the second candidate that I really would have liked to have seen there. Now, there is no doubt that the fact that Eason's already gotten a year experience on the recruiting trail, I think is probably a notch in his favor over a guy like Brent Buckner. But there is no doubt connections to Alabama and Georgia. And I think, again, a guy with a better pro resume than Todd Bates helps offset some of that loss too. So for Dabo Swinney, if it does indeed turn out to be, as we expect, Nick Eason taking over in that spot, again, some people say, oh, you're sticking with Clemson guys. But again, the foundations that Clemson wants to present the players are in some respects built in Eason's legacy in Tigertown based off of his strong performance as a student athlete. Emphasis again on student. 803-450-00